love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You Podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hey everyone, I want to welcome you back to another episode this week of Expert in You Podcast. I'm your host, Carden, and this week I have an amazing guest with me, and I have to tell you, I'm so excited to have her on because she is making waves out there in the world, and I love everything she's doing. I have with me today Dr. Tracy Powell. She goes by just Tracy. I told her she should just rock the doctor thing. But Tracy, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Ann, and thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here and look forward to the discussion.
Well, I love what you are doing, and I'm going to let you share your journey, but she has actually created an academy that helps minority women. And I love that. We're in such a different time in the world, and inclusion is a word that we are hearing so much about. And I know you mentioned that's one of the things that you have really built your business around. And so I just love what you're doing. I think that it's so timely, but I know you've been doing this for many, many years. Yes, so yes. Tracy is a doctor and she has all kinds of degrees, and I'm not going to go into all of those. We'll put all of her information with the show notes, but I love what she is doing because she is definitely helping minority women really in the corporate space. She's doing executive coaching and she's helping them in corporate and in career. So Tracy, I am going to just let you talk a little bit about that, but she's also a best-selling author and she just has a lot going on, just a lot going on. So tell me, Tracy, how did you get into what you're doing right now?
Well, I started coaching and had a passion from coaching after I needed my own coach. Early on in my career, I needed someone to really help guide me, someone to bounce ideas off, but I was looking for someone to do that in a safe space and someone not a part of the company that I was a part of. So I did some research and I came up with this concept of hiring a coach. Now then, coaches were not as popular as they were and are today. And also there was a kind of a stigma, if you will, with having a coach. It was often associated with someone low performance or someone that just really needed help. But I needed one because I know I wanted to scale in my career. I didn't know how and when to scale. So I reached out and I hired my first executive coach. And it was such an amazing opportunity that I wanted to become one myself. And I did.
I love it. That's exactly how I started my coaching. I worked with one and I thought, where have you been all of my life? I mean, I've been building businesses for over 30 years and I didn't even know, like you said, I didn't even know coaches existed for many of those years and through many of those businesses. And it was such a game changer for me. I knew it was something that I really wanted to help other people do. So I love that. And I think that is how a lot of people get started. So you have been in business, really, you've been doing your coaching about as long as I have. I've been doing mine for a little over 11 years. Yes. And you're right. A lot of people are like, what's a coach? What is that? Some people still don't know, but so let's talk about why did you decide to actually do it around what you're doing? how did you come up with your whole concept for your business? Because that is a big thing for people, is how do I create a business out of coaching, and what does that look like? So how did you come up with this idea that you have?
Developing a coaching business is just like any other business. Trial and errors. You have a name, you change the name, you go back and forth. The original name of my business is Synergetic Solutions. So I did that in my first couple of years in business. And at that time, I was open to an array of different individuals and organizations. As my business began to grow, I said, I need to pivot and really get laser focused and narrow things down and identify who my niche is. Mm-hmm. That is a process within itself, because in order for you to identify your niche, you have to work with all sorts of people from all sorts of backgrounds to really identify where you click, where you're making the most impact, and really hone in, if you will, on that particular audience. And so I spent a couple of years doing that. It was not an overnight process. It was trial and error. It was, starting and restarting, and even looking at what type of coach I wanted to be, what programs I wanted to offer. All of this is a process. So I went through this process, and then I realized that most of my clients that performed well, that had the highest positive outcomes after coaching, were minority women who are in the earlier or mid-level positions of executives. Another reason why I really focus on minority women were, as we see, there's a lot of information about inclusiveness today. That was not always the case.
Right.
And I found that minority women struggle more than their counterparts when trying to get support, as in coaching or leadership training from their organizations. And I experienced this myself. And so I knew what they needed. I knew what they wanted. I knew how to show them to build this network and to build a safe place to advocate for themselves so that they could get what they needed in their organization. So after years of tooling and retooling and starting and stopping, this is what I came up with: the Institute for Executive Women, Minority Women. So I love it. It's big because my vision is to grow it, to not just to be one institute, but I want my institute to be global and to be housed in every country, on every continent, for minority women seeking advancement, regardless of what that may look like, but just so they can have support from women that look like them with their experiences that can assist them along their journey.
I love that. Now, one of the things that you did mention is you said we really don't exclude anyone.
Yes.
It's just like you mentioned, a niche to really get dialed in. It's kind of like me. I can help practically any business with anything in their business because I've been there, done it. But online, especially if you're building a global company and an online business, or you're getting a lot of your business through online marketing and things like that, it's a really important key to dial in and be more specific. Otherwise, you end up really just chasing rabbits, don't you?
Absolutely. And then when you're looking to expand, to do contracting and other things, you have to be competitive. Mm-hmm. And in order for you to be competitive, you have to be very focused. I can't be competitive if I'm serving any and everyone, right? Because then it's too broad for the funders. So you have to show that you're competitive. You have to show, who your competition is, where are they, and how are you doing things differently. And unfortunately, the only way that you can do that is to get very laser focused and narrow it down. But as I said, everyone is invited. I will coach any woman that comes to my door without a problem, but that's just to make sure that I am focused, keeping me focused, and that my business is competitive as it grows, and look for other funding opportunities and contractual opportunities.
You really brought up some good points too. When we're talking about building a coaching and consulting business, you said it was a process. Business evolves, right? And even I built many, many small businesses, and they always evolved. And if you don't evolve, you actually get left behind, and you end up with not a very sustainable business. Well, coaching is no different. And a lot of people don't realize this when they're first starting. They think, if they just open their doors, it will come. And there are many, many things that you have to learn about building a business and how to do that. But, just like for me, I never worked with coaches and consultants. I worked with them. They came to me naturally, but I didn't target them. They were not a specific niche for me, but that niche found me because as I started working with more and more of them, I realized that a lot of the things they were being taught out there were not helpful. And I kept sort of getting people coming to me wanting help. How are you doing this? How are you building such a great business? How's that happening? That really I felt almost compelled or called to start working with them and help them do things faster and easier and not have to go through a lot of the hurdles really that you and I probably went through.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I hear so many people say, well, all you have to do is have this many followers, and all you have to do is just be relevant on all of these social media sites. And let me tell you, that is so not true.
That is so
you can
not
have
true.
Millions of followers, but these people don't know you. Mm-hmm. And coaching is about having an intimate relationship with your niche and your audience. And you get that through conversations like we're having.
Yes.
You get that through phone calls. You get that through being intentional one-on-one. You don't get that on the social media posts because I post on LinkedIn. That's my main area for posting.
Which is where we met.
Yes. But I don't always get clients from LinkedIn. Most of my clients are referrals from people that I've worked with in the past. And so, that's a myth that we really need to change. So people don't think that all they have to do is drive themselves crazy with these posts and on all these social media systems when it takes time. It takes consistency. It takes relationships. It takes partnerships. And it takes a lot of commitment.
Yes. Oh, you definitely said the right word there. Commitment, consistency. So many people are just, they're just all over the place and they won't stick with anything long enough to make it really work.
Yes.
So yes, I say you have to give it a year. And then if you're really truly doing the work and you're putting in all of the effort, then through that process, if after a year you feel like, this isn't it, it's not really lighting me up, then make a shift, but not before that, because you are just really selling yourself short if you do that. Yes. So let's talk about your actual institute. What are the things that you do with people and how do you help them?
Okay. So my institute, I keep it very intimate. I only do 12 to 15 clients a year. Mm-hmm. Most of my programs are 3-month programs. I have the executive coaching program, and that's one-on-one weekly calls with me. Mm-hmm. I have a hybrid coaching program that is a few sessions with me and sessions with other group members. And then I have the group coaching program where it's 6 to 8 women in a group with the same experiences, same backgrounds, and we're working together. I work with the women to assess which tier is best for them, because sometimes you don't want to put someone who needs more of my attention into a group setting, which may really dominate the group and throw it off.
Yes.
The other thing I do is I do a mapping project. A mapping project is I really work with women to map out where they are in their lives, where they're trying to go. And we take that map and develop that into a 3-month plan that we work on together, setting goals, checking things off, and really helping them meet their goals. So that's a sum of what I do in my coaching business.
I love it. And that was one of the things that I really wanted to ask you about was you talked about this thing called life mapping.
Yes.
And so I wanted to find out more, which I understood what that was. But for our listeners, I wanted you to talk a little bit more about that, because one of the things, and you also mentioned SMART goals. And in my very first book that I wrote 10 years ago, I had a whole thing on SMART goals in there, because it is the most basic, it's the most fundamental thing if you want to achieve anything, whether that's in a career, whether that's in your life, whether that's in a business. And how many people do not even do the most basic thing? I was having a conversation with a coach the other day who had reached out to me about my program. And I said, what is it you're wanting to accomplish? And she goes, I don't really know. Okay, good luck with that. Right? That it's like, I always say, it's like saying, okay, I'm going to go to wherever, and I've never been there before, and I have no clue how to get there, but I'm just going to get in my car and start driving and just hope that I end up there. Not going to work. No. Not going to work. So is this a big aha for you, Tracy, when you are helping people really define what their goals are, and you're really helping them, you're making them take a look at that. Yeah. And is that a big aha for a lot of people? Because I find that it is.
Yes, it is. And with some clients, that's why I really have to start with the life map, because they're all over the place. They want the big job. They want everything. You can't have everything all at one time.
Right.
So the mapping process really helped them step back and look at life as a whole. Mm-hmm. What do I want in my life to find peace, happiness, and joy? That's the first map. After we do that map, we have a discussion about what does that look like? How does that feel? And the second map focus internally on the client. Who are you? Where do you want to be? What makes you happy? And what does that look like on paper? So many people have never taken a time to sit down and just write things out and reflect on, what job I want, where do I want to be? What does that look like? What does happiness look like for me? And, during that process, and you'll be so surprised, people that come in and say, yes, I want to be at the top of the C-suite, end up saying, no, I just want to be home with my grandkids.
I was just going to say, one of the things that a lot of times doing that mapping process, I do something similar to that. And a lot of times people find out that they don't want what they even thought they wanted.
Yes, they don't want it. And, I had one lady ready for the C-suite, ready for that VP position. And after we mapped, we do 4 sessions. On the 3rd session, she came back and she said, Tracy, I have something to tell you. I'm going to retire and I'm going home to spend time with my grandkids. Mm-hmm. She had an aha moment over the weekend, spending time with her kids, working on her map. She found in that space.
Yes.
She was the most happiest.
Yeah.
And that's what she did. She retired and she went home. She walked away from a life that she enjoyed working as an executive, but something that she felt that she's enjoyed enough. Now let me transition and enjoy for the rest of my life with my children and my grandchildren. And that's the power of mapping. Though people come to me because they want to advance in their career, that does not have to be the end of their journey. And their journey can pivot at any time. They just have to be open to whatever is within them that sometimes we ignore or we don't take the time to really tap into, that's telling them this is where we need to be to find the peace, the joy, and the happiness that will fulfill us forever. So that's what I do with the mapping process, the life mapping.
I love it. And then you help them do really practical work where they're putting it into SMART goals.
Yes.
And like you said, helping them really define, okay, what does this look like? And I have to really do the same thing with people in business. We have to define, okay, where are you right now? What is it you really want? And like I said, sometimes they just don't even know, or they think they know. And then when we dig in as to, okay, this is what it's going to take for you to accomplish that. Like you said, a lot of times they go, You know, I don't think that sounds so great.
Exactly.
I'm not really willing to put in the work or, do that thing. And so, but having that clarity can help people so much really move forward in their life, in their career, in their business. For so many years, I was in corporate for 13 years and I thought that I wanted something, right? But then when I had kids, it changed everything. My entire outlook changed. And people have to realize too that the seasons that they're in will often dictate to them without them realizing it where they really want to be at that time in their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's kind of like, somebody 65 years old is not so excited about building a 7-figure business as someone who's 25 or 30, right? Because they're in this whole different season in their life.
Yeah. And we have to pay attention and be aware of those seasons. And that's why, as I work with clients, I encourage them to sit 3 to 5 minutes every day and meditate. Ground yourself, find out where you are in your space and where you need to be. Because as you said, things will come to us, direction will come, and it's up to us to listen to that and to act on it.
Mm-hmm. And you bring up a really good point. A lot of times it's hard for people to act on something that they know in their gut or in their spirit, whatever you want to say. They know they should be doing this, but they're not taking that action. And sometimes just helping them get clarity on how to take the action can make such a difference, because sometimes they want to, but they can't figure out why they're not. And it's because they don't really know how. They don't really know what is the next step. What should I be doing? So I love what you are doing. And you talk about building a sustainable network. Talk about that a little bit.
Networks, as you're growing in any business, any community, is really the foundation. Network is your tribe of people surrounding you to help you be lifted and to help you take off like a rocket as you want to. But in order for you to grow and advance from that network, you have to build it with people that are like-minded, people that support and see your vision, people that will support you with this vision and if it pivots, and people that will offer constructive criticism, other advice and recommendations as they see fit to benefit you and your business. So often we want a safe network. We want those people that says yes, yes, yes. And that's not what we need all the time in business. We need someone who's transparent, someone with integrity, and someone who's honest to really grow our network, because those people are your referral base. Yes. Those people will refer clients to you. Those people will speak well of your business. And I am convinced that the greatest advertisement any entrepreneur can have is word of mouth. Beyond any social media connection, I don't care if you have 1 million followers, word of mouth will really pivot your business quicker than anything else. So that network is very important.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That is such a valid point. My best clients have been referrals, because when they come to you, when they're referred to you, they're practically already sold, right? Because someone else is saying your praises. So it makes it so easy to actually close them into clients. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the relationships that we build in business. One of the things I love so much about doing this podcast is I get to meet amazing people like you. And it's such a fast way to build relationships with people and really get to know them and learn about their business and what they're doing. So I love that, but you're so spot on with that. And I like to say it's not about vanity numbers. It's about quality. It's about quality relationships, quality numbers, not quantity. You can have, hundreds of thousands of followers and a network, but if nothing ever comes from that, what are you really accomplishing? It's a lot of noise, in my opinion.
It is. Absolutely. I totally agree. Too much noise for me. Too much
Yes,
noise for me.
absolutely. So do you, Tracy, get most of your clients? You mentioned referrals, but you are online. You're very visible online.
Yes.
Um, do you get your referral partners from online? Because a lot of people don't know how to leverage the online space, and there's lots of ways to leverage it: opportunities, partnerships, building relationships, not always just going out and finding a client like a lot of people think.
Yes.
There's a lot of other ways that you can utilize social media. So is that where you've built a lot of the relationships where you get clients? Because getting clients is always a big issue for
Yes.
coaches and consultants.
Definitely. When I'm on social media and I see someone that's intriguing to me, I always send a request, hey, let's jump on the call for a chat. It's not about me getting a client, but like you, I want to know more about them.
Right.
I want to know what they're doing. And you'll be amazed of how you can have a conversation and this month and 6 months later, that same person will say, hey, I'm having a conference. Could you be one of my speakers? Or
Yes.
I ran into a client that I can't help. Can you help this person? So it is so multi-tiered when you meet people. Definitely the approach of just closing every individual you meet is not the best approach.
Right.
The approach is, how can I build a professional, working, rewarding relationship with this individual that goes both ways?
Yes, I love
And I
it.
think with that mindset, it's better for both of us. So I've built great partnerships. I've got clients. I've gotten speaking engagements. I've gotten cruise speaking engagements. So just talking to people, getting to know them, and not being afraid to promote someone else.
Right.
While you're promoting yourself, is very important. You know, there is enough work and enough clients in this world for all of us. So you have to be open, and that's how you have to have the right people in your network to promote and support others as you're working in your business as well. And I think that's key to building a very positive network.
Absolutely. I agree with that. So you mentioned LinkedIn is your main platform. Are you on other platforms as well?
Yes, I am on IG. I'm on there. I'm also on Facebook. Facebook is more of my personal page, but I spend most of my time posting content, posting things about SMART goals and mapping, and managing your career on LinkedIn, because I found with LinkedIn, the audience is more likely to take that time to read the posts and read the information versus the other site. Sometimes they're trying to get it all in one picture. And instead of reading the content. So I'm really looking for people to read, gain understanding, gain best practices and opportunities that would help them in whatever they're working on in their careers.
Yes. And really, because of the professionals that you're working
Yes.
with, LinkedIn is your best place. That's where executives are. That's where career people are, and you know, professional careers, things like that. So it's a great playground for you, Tracy.
Yes, it is. It has profited me. I love it. I love LinkedIn. I'm on there all the time. Yes.
Yes. I love everything that we have talked about. So what can someone expect to get from you if they decide to work with you? You're going to help them map things out. Where are they? Where do they want to go? What do they most want? Put that into a plan, into goals. What else?
If someone decides to work with me, they are going to have a sense of clarity. And that is important to me, because, you know, we can do all the mapping and all the goals, but I want you to have a strong sense of self, a strong sense of clarity. And then we work on the goals and building out that individual's plan for the future. And in building your plan, I don't do the year-long plans. I do plans that are 3 months at a time. I do 12-week plans because shorter is better. Most people accomplish more goals when they're short-term goals versus over a year. So that client will also feel accomplished and have some great checks and smiley faces after they finish all of their goals with working with me. So clarity, that compassion for self and love for self and excitement about the future is really what I look to offer my clients.
I love it. Yeah, we do have similar styles in the fact. Now I do both. I do a 12-month goal, and then what is kind of your bigger plan here? And then we break it down into those bite-sized chunks. Okay, what do we want to work on first, and what do we need to do second, and all of that. So very similar. But I love this. And who would be a perfect person for you?
My ideal client is someone who is in entry or mid-level executive position that is looking to get a promotion or an advancement in their organization within the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Why I say 2 to 3 years? Because it takes time. If we have to build network, we're building relationships. If we're building skills, we may have to do training or certification. So I like for people to give themselves some time to build what they need to do, get their resume ready, be holistic about their next step in their career. So that would be my ideal client.
I love it. We talk about the good stuff here. Let's talk about, what have you found to be the most challenging thing about building your own practice, your own business?
Starting really fast and not knowing all of the steps and not following all of the steps.
What do you mean by that?
Starting, you start a business and you think, okay, I get a business license and I'm done. You're not done.
How'd that work?
You have to build the business, make sure that you're okay legally with all the proper financial setups with the LLCs. If you're going to do a corporation, do with the tax company, and just make sure that you're well established and your business has a solid foundation. Solid foundation meaning you're well known in the community. You have a network. You're visible with the website. A lot of people are moving away from websites, but if you're trying to do contracts, they're going to the website.
Yes, ma'am. I'm so glad you're saying this. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Go ahead.
Having the website and having systems in place that work for you, whether or not they work for anyone else. I don't need a lot of systems. I don't do a lot of mail merging. So, identifying what I needed. There was a time in my journey as I began to pivot that I got sucked in to everything that was going on social media. You need A, B, C, and D. And I grabbed all of this stuff.
Right.
Need it. So then you have to get it out of your way, start with what you need, and keep it simple. I had to learn to keep it simple, productive, and effective.
Yes.
That's how I run my business. So
I love it.
Oh. It was some ups and downs, but I got there.
Oh my gosh. I love what you're saying. One of the things that I see coaches and consultants do so much, you fell into this, is trying to sell very low ticket, low value things, and having to have so many people and selling so much of that to even have any kind of cash flow or any kind of money. And that is the most common thing taught out there. Because it's easy for people to get clients that way and help them make a little bit of money, but it is not a sustainable business. It is just not. And so I actually love that you're like, no, cut it all away. But the other thing you mentioned that I really want to hit on, because, I am very active on Facebook. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and you see different things on the platforms. But one of the things that I have seen over and over again on Facebook that drives me crazy is when people are telling coaches they do not need a website. Now, I don't know that you need one. You don't need one to start, you could get your first client by just reaching out to somebody and telling them what you're doing. And you may, you can get a client. But if you're going to have a sustainable, real business, and especially if you're working with B2B or even with professionals, they are going to look for a website. They are not going to be happy with your little Facebook group. That is not going to build your business for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, and that's something that you and I have to keep telling our coaches and our consultants is you need a foundation. Your foundation is your website page with some type of e-commerce hook to it so that people can pay you through that site. People can buy your books. People can do everything through your site. Your site is your storefront. And that's how they have to look at their website. And that's how I look at mine. That's my storefront. You can walk in my door when you click on my link and just go shopping and get everything you need about me and from me in that space, not all over 4 or 5 social media accounts.
I love it. No, this has been a great conversation. I love hearing everything that you're doing out there in the world. I think it's amazing. I love the niche that you've carved out for yourself and what you're really helping people accomplish. There's such a need for it. But I also love that we dug into the practical side of building a business. And I think it's so good for people to hear different perspectives, especially coming from people that are professional, because they really get very jaded information out there in the online world. And like I said, it makes me crazy when I hear people say, you don't need this, you don't need that. One of the things real quick before we kind of wrap this up is you have a book, you're a best-selling author, right? Yes. And what made you decide to write your book? I also, have 3 books, but a lot of people are like, you don't need that. I disagree with that as well. If you're looking to make a bigger impact, you do need that. It shows credibility and authority. What do you think about that?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that a book will get you into the door of a speaking engagement or a B&B opportunity quicker than anything else. It really takes you to a different level as a professional. And it really shows that you are focused. You can be focused, you can be dedicated to one thing, and it makes you an expert in the topic in which you wrote about. So I encourage people all the time, write a book. If they're not in that place to write a book, write something small that they can have, that they can share with an executive or someone in their network. And books also build your network, because once you publish, now you have a new network of authors that connect with you and know you and look to you for guidance, although they're authors as well. So I wrote my books. My first book is on leadership. And I wrote that just about the leadership journey that I had and really going back to practical leadership. We hear a lot of things now about leadership and where we should pivot. But at the end of the day, it's about good communication.
Right. It really is simple.
Yes. It's really simple.
And you wrote a whole book around that. That's amazing.
I'm like, it's not that complicated. Just be nice to people, and respect people. So I wrote that book, but my second book, the bestseller, The Journey to Authorship, A Pocket Guide for Writers. I'm so excited. It's now on Audible. It just got on Audible on the 24th of November. So we're super excited about that. But I wrote that book out of frustration. Because my first book, I had such a hard time writing it and understanding the process, because becoming an author is a process within itself. And I didn't get a coach for that at first. I ended up getting a coach. But when I tried to do it on my own, it was very difficult. So I wanted to write something that was very simple, that a prospective author could pick up and read in 15, 20 minutes and have some type of direction and some idea of where to go and what to do next. So that's why I wrote that book.
I love that. There really are 2 kinds of books. And I think people need to realize this too. There's your story, right? You can, write a whole book around your story. If you've come from, you've had a hardship and you can write a book around that. But when you're trying to establish yourself as an expert, credible and an authority, and you're trying to actually build a business around that, you need a book. You said it, you need a book that shows your expertise. And it needs to show why you are the person that people should want to hire and work with. And a lot of people don't get this. They write a book and it's so disconnected from what they're trying to build their business around. I mean, I guess it's good. It might still get them on a stage, but not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily build their business. A lot of times it brings them the wrong people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, when I wrote my book on leadership, and that's something I'm so passionate about, I didn't write it even thinking about stages or anything. I just wrote from my experience, my expertise, what I experienced, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just trying to tell other leaders and managers and executives that this is how we do this. We go back to the basics and we be kind to people and we respect people and we don't delegate with taking things back. And we watch communication. So it grew into something. It didn't become a bestseller and that's okay, but it grew into partnerships, relationships, opportunities, and it opened many doors. And I love it dearly for that.
Right. I love it. This has been such great conversation. Is there anything, Tracy, that we didn't talk about that you would like to share before we wrap this up?
No, there is nothing that I can think of. We talked about my institute, executive coaching for minority women, and I appreciate that. And my books as well. My website is drtracy.org. And I think we talked about everything. So thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for connecting everyone. And I love to see this when it goes live.
Well, you absolutely will. And everyone, thank you so much for being here. And we'll put all of Dr. Tracy's information with the show notes. But please reach out to her. She's on LinkedIn. That's where I met her. And you can just meet the most amazing people. You can bring the most amazing people into your network and reach out to her, connect with her. You can see how genuine she is and what an inspiration she is to everyone out there. So thank you for being my guest, being on the Expert in You podcast as a true expert, doing some great things. So connect with her, everyone. And until next time, you all have an amazing rest of the week. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.